Yeah, this is initiative of a group of the Anthroposophical Society in Russia. And this is a group of Pavlovsk, which is district of St. Petersburg, a gorgeous city of Russia. And Dr. Yuriy Yurchenko, who is my good friend, he's an anthroposophical doctor with family practice in the city of St. Petersburg. And Yuri also, he is a founding member of group of company or group Friends of Pavlovsk. And of course, he is a member of Anthroposophical Society and member of the first class. Yeah, dear Yuri, thank you so much for joining us and for your initiative, and over to you.
Thank you, Andrei. Спасибо, Andrei. Dear friends, dear brothers and sisters, hello, everyone. Nice to see your faces through this device. And we today invited our dear friend, Frank Chester, a scientist, an artist, and I believe that his name will be mentioned as well as Aristotle's, Euclid, Plato in the future, as often as we know these names nowadays. And just allow me to say briefly about our connection with Frank, because those who study spiritual science, they cannot keep silent when they discover Frank's discoveries. And I personally find that Frank's discoveries about the geometrical figures, the seven-sided form, Chestahedron, or Hexahedron, and also Decatria, or Decatria, how Frank calls this shape, a dual to the seven-sided form. And as well as the discoveries in the heart, in the anatomical particulars and functional particulars. These discoveries, they lead to a new way in the science, because the modern science, as we could see, it was misled after Goethe, because Goethe is known as a poet, but less than scientist. And thanks to Rudolf Steiner, Goethe is known among anthroposophists in the first place, and those who learned about Goethe's achievements, they also know that Goethe as a scientist is even greater than a poet. And Frank, when he joined the Anthroposophical Society and studied various anthroposophical courses, and he was inspired by the book The Philosophy of Freedom, or The Philosophy of Spiritual Activity, the book #1 of Rudolf Steiner. And he also uses this Goethean method of investigations, of contemplative thinking, so that this thinking which contemplates penetrates deeply into every phenomena where his mind is directed to. So this science which Goethe inspired and Rudolf Steiner brought it up so that he connected what was lost for the modern science. Now Frank Chester brings new life into our modern science, and it expands the modern science's boundaries extensively, because it gives a possibility to see the new shapes, the new geometrical shapes which have equal surfaces areas. And in the heart, it also helps us to understand that the heart works not as a pump. And we already can witness a great contribution to this subject, because from Rudolf Steiner we know that once the world understands that the heart works not as a pump, all world of education will be accepted all around the world. And also the medical studies will look at the human being not as a machine as they currently do, but as a spiritual being with his spirit and soul. So thanks to Frank, we come closer to this desirable situation in the world, which allows our science to bring these new achievements and to study them thoroughly and be inspired to new kind of society. And this also leads to the new energies, because from the spiritual science, we know that these electric energies, which we use now for these electrical devices, every click of the electricity, every click of the snapshot shot of our digital devices, it just contributes to premature destruction of our Earth. And Rudolf Steiner pointed that those new kind of energies, which have to substitute this electromagnetic ones, they come from the ether world, from the etheric. And these secrets will be discovered by humans, by the humanity, only and only when we come to the new kind of arrangements in our society, when we achieve the so-called threefold community life, where we see the spiritual or educational part is completely free and independent. The rights sphere, where equality is maintained, and the economic sphere, where the brotherhood is achieved. So these new kind of energies can be discovered if I put my hand on my heart. Honestly, I find that Frank's discoveries, especially the Chestahedron, leads to this new kind of etheric energies, because they indicate the secret, the etheric powers, and also the moral ether, which will be the source of new energies, the moral energies. And I see John Barnwell. I would like to greet John Barnwell among our audience. He is a great contributor with his team, with Douglas Gabriel, and Tyler, Gabriel, they are great contributors to this subject. And I hope that thanks to Frank and this our wonderful colleagues and all our colleagues like Dr. Lisa Del Alba, who is part of our friends, and Benjamin Bell, Frank's new friends, we will achieve new curriculum for the world of schools. And thank you very much for listening to my long introduction. And I would like to give a word to Frank, because as I said last time, every minute with Frank is gold. So Frank, dear Frank, please take over and lead our meeting. And dear friends, after Frank finishes, Andrei will be in charge of question and answers session of our conference. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Yuri. Thank you for making this opportunity to show this kind of work. I thank you very much for that. And I also want to thank Andre for the Chicago branch for organizing all of this to help bring this information to more and more people. This is great. Thank you both. Okay, so the one thing I wanted to start right off from the bat is to tell you that we need to develop our own clairvoyance, and we lost it, or we gave it up for thinking. And so we need to return to the time, like, for instance, Egypt, where they had clairvoyance, but they didn't have the thinking like we do. We gave up the clairvoyance and developed the thinking. Now we have to go back and try to retrieve our own clairvoyance, not one that comes to us, but a clairvoyance that comes from us. It can't come through us anymore. That's over. So the purpose of this lecture really is to show where Rudolf Steiner's work was used to help explain this new research. And so to start this off, I need to tell you a little about what I didn't do. Okay, so the first off, there's no imitation. Okay, there's no imitation in my work because there was nothing to imitate. So what we have to do is to stop imitating. We have to stop this process that she's from 0 to 7 years old. We just got to stop doing this because we're a little past 7 years old. Okay, so another thing is that in this kind of work, you can't look to nature because that's not where it's found. We have to stay away from world existing forms. Okay, because that's a sense of copying. Now, I know there's some really high-ranking individuals who say that you need to copy nature. And well, that's fine, but that's not the new way of studying. It's not helping us to copy nature, because nature left all this behind, okay, that we see, but they kind of want to know, well, what can you do? This is what we did. What about you guys? Can you do something like this or something new? So you can't look at nature. Okay. And so also you can't have preconception images. So you can't try to make something that you think it's the way it is. You have to work more artistically. Also, there's no geometry and there's no math connected with this work. That comes after. Okay. You have to work alone. You can't have some helping hands, okay, because you need to do the work on your own. And you can certainly use other people to verify or to reinforce what you're doing and so forth. But basically, you have to work alone. Okay, and what you have to do is work with ideas, okay, and the thinking about those ideas. So these are some of the things that I try to work out in my work. Sometimes I failed, sometimes I didn't. But the main thing is to keep working and remember that you don't need to copy things. All right, so the first thing, I have 7 different points I'm going to go through and for this lecture. And the first one I just finished. The second one is architecture. The third one is about another new form. The fourth one is about the Temple of Hathor, which is 4,500 years old in Egypt. And the next one is about contour drawings. Okay, and then the sixth one is about new architecture. And the last one is about the earth. I don't know if I can cover all that, but I'll try. So the first thing is that I want you to know that I am not here to any way indicate that Rudolf Steiner's work is not important, because it is. Okay, and so I've tried to use his work, okay, not to criticize it or say, oh, wait a minute, this isn't right, or wonder if he did this, or none of that. I'm not interested in this lecture of doing that at all. I want to back up the work that he has done. And how I did that was as I explained my work in relationship to what I found he had been doing. Okay, so none of this is about copying Rudolf Steiner. Okay, because that's not the end result that you were looking for. Okay, so first off, I found the Chestahedron. Okay, and the very first one I found was this. This is the first Chestahedron, the very first one. And you can see this was done artistically, and you can see it's not accurate at all. I mean, it's got some shapes there that I ended up with, but it's you can see that's kind of crude compared to the end result. So I want to relate this to the idea of Rudolf Steiner had on the Goetheanum. This is a model of the Goetheanum that is a copy. A mold was taken over this particular model of the Goetheanum that Steiner made. He made this. He made it out of clay. And his idea was that it had 2 cupolas, and one is smaller than the other, or one is larger than the other one. And he had a purpose behind that, those 2 circles, or those 2 cupolas, that are different in size. So how am I going to relate this, the Goetheanum, to the Chestahedron? I mean, what's going on here? How can I say this? Okay, so what Steiner did was he had to try to figure out the 2 circles, the 2 cupolas, one bigger than the other. So he used geometry. And what he did was this, is he used pentagons. He used 2 pentagons, the blue one and the red one. And based on those 2 pentagons, okay, which are really beautiful, he was able to figure out the size of the two circles, cupolas, and the distance between them. And there he used a really neat geometric construction, and I'll show you what I mean. So if I put the two centers of those circles, you can see that the blue big pentagram is huge, and then the center of this next circle is from a little pentagon. And that's an absolutely wonderful geometry because it breaks it up into 5 and 7. So 5 and 7 is really important to him. Okay, so here are the cupolas. Of course, here's the base of the cupolas, and I use plastic so you can see through this to see how this works. Okay. So I'm going to show you the first Goetheanum in the accurate, beautiful drawing. So here I'm going to have to move things, but that's okay. So let's see. That's not too bad. You can see that drawing right there. Okay. So to show you what I discovered with the 7-sided form, I'll show you that first. This is the geometry that's accurate and it's perfect, and there's no measurements. I never used a ruler other than a straight edge without markings. Okay, so you're going to say, well, how could the Chestahedron come out of that? I mean, that's ridiculous. But no, it's not. So I'll show you how it's done. First off, in the middle of these three pentagons, there's a tetrahedron. And there it is. And I can fold this up and it makes a tetrahedron. Okay. So if I keep looking at this, I can now take out the Chestahedron. Now here's the Chestahedron coming out of this geometry now. And here it is. Now you have the Chestahedron. It's 7 sides, they're all equal. But they're different shapes, 2 different shapes. And it came out of this drawing. Okay, so let me take this drawing away. And let's see what Rudolf Steiner did. What he did with geometry. Now this took 2 years, and I guess he had a couple architects that worked with him on this for 2 years. And this is their drawing. So you can look at their drawing and you can look at mine. Straighten this out. Okay, there is the drawing that was worked out. It took 2 years, but you know, it's not every day. And not only that, but there are 2 architects that work with him. And it's absolutely gorgeous. Now let's see if I can get this. I see there's reflection. There's skylights in this house. That's the way it goes. Anyway, you can see the 2 circles that make up the 2 cupolas. So what I saw here was that there were kites And so I colored the kites in, okay, in pink. And you see that pink kite? Let me see if I can get it right up there. I just got this Chestahedron in the way. Now you're going to be able to see the kites. See the pink kite? You'll see behind the pink kite, there's a green triangle. Okay. So go back from a more full view of it. Now, you know, how did he, why is that? I colored it in. All of these lines in here are his. They're not mine. I didn't draw this. This comes right out of a book. You may want to get this book, because I don't know if it's still around. But inside this was this drawing, and many others, on how he worked on this first Goetheanum. Okay, so if you look here, there's a big kite that he drew. See it? So I made that big kite out of paper so that you could see what I'm talking about. So here's the kite. See the kite? Okay, well, you know this kite is based on the pentagon. 5 of these makes a 5-pointed star, a pentagon. Okay, so you know that for sure he used the pentagon here. So all we have to do is, is you just keep turning this around, and it makes the other point, and then you take it up here, it makes the other point, makes 5 points. Okay, so if I fold the kite in half, this is the size of the circle he used. All right. So the Chestahedron is made up of kites and triangles, which there are two forms. There's the kite, the triangle, and the kite. And what happens is these two go together on the Chestahedron. Now this makes a Chestahedron. See if you can see that. The kite and the triangle. Here's the triangle. Here's the kite. All right. So I folded this in half to show you that this is the length of the diameter of the bigger circle. Now, if I take the side here, right, the side of the kite, it's exactly the size of the other circle. Or it is the size of the triangle that comes from the Chestahedron. Okay, now, all right, so how possibly does he get this point and this point? Well, you open up the triangle, there it tells you from the center of this one to the center of this. Now, this is called the hypotenuse, and this is the height of a triangle, a perfect triangle. And you can see that, again, now we know how far apart those two circles are. So it's not just a bunch of guessing. Okay, all of his work here, okay, is very geometric. All right, so to me, that was a fantastic discovery that I'm starting to get close to telling you how the Chestahedron can possibly relate to the first Goetheanum. What's there? Okay, so I made a little one here. I made a little Chestahedron. And this one tells you how the diameter is. This tells you how the radius is. So here's the radius of the larger cupola. And you can see it just fits right on that pink Yeah, you're seeing it. See the pink? I can close it right up. And then if I turn it upside down, I get the size of the triangle he drew. So this tells me where to put my compass point to draw the circle based on the kite. So where do I put this compass point? Well, I put it on the triangle. So the distance from here to the center, okay, is the way that you get the radius to set your compass for to make the circle. So this cupola here, okay, comes from the Chestahedron, and the smaller one comes from the Chestahedron also. Now look at it. I'm just saying that the Chestahedron, I found this connection, okay, because I didn't draw this drawing at all. Okay, this is fantastic drawing. Okay, so this is a major discovery on how these two relate. Now, what they relate to are two circles, one circle here and one circle here. And the circles that go around the Chestahedron, okay, here they are. This is the Chestahedron made of black lines, and this is the circle at the top of the Chestahedron, and this is not the top, but where the triangles and the kites meet. Okay, just like this. Okay, and then this side circle and this side circle are exactly the same. You can see where they come from the Chestahedron. So the idea is that if you look at his work and you find something that you've developed somehow, okay, it's important to go back and see if it was, does he back it up? Does he help you? It definitely helped me. Oh my gosh. I'm not helping him, he's helping me with what this drawing was left behind. Okay, so what I did was I made the two circles for the Chestahedron here. Here's the one for the bottom, here's the one from the top, and here's the distance. Yeah, here's the distance between those two circles. Okay, so the Chestahedron has these two circles, but they're standing straight up. But all you have to do is to do this with the Chestahedron. And there are the two circles. There's the large cupola and the smaller cupola. And this distance from here to here is the height of the triangle. So here's the Chestahedron folded up like Rudolf Steiner. Now, the next thing I want to show you is this drawing. This geometric I'm going to have to put this probably about here so you can be able to see that. Let's see if I can use those boxes. Yeah, this might work. Let's see if it does. If I get out of the way. And yeah, you can see it, huh? Can you see that? Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so that particular drawing, this geometric drawing, okay, is a really breakthrough. This is amazing what it shows. If I pick this up, can you take this out of there? Take that plastic thing out of there and put the book in place. Yeah, that's it. Oh, it's so great to have people to help me. All right, you can still see the form. Okay, so the plastic thing. Would you let me have that? Here is the cover of New View. And this particular geometry he used on the whole front page. And inside there's all information about this. And you just go to New View magazine and then you put in maybe the title, and you can find these lectures. You don't have to buy the magazine because they're old. So, all right, this is what I did. I decided I would take the, I don't know why I did it this way, but I did. I decided I would take the pentagon and put it in a smaller circle. Remember, these circles are the same size as the Goetheanum. So I put a star, a pentagon, in here, in this circle. And I know it doesn't look like pentagons, but they are 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But they're different. They're new. They're a new star. The new star you've never seen before. It's a new star. The back side looks like this. Okay, so here they are. So how I got this is that I saw that if I take a pentagon and draw that line from the pentagon, from the bottom to the top, and then up to the bigger circle. Am I seeing that? Hope so. Goes up to the bigger circle. And what happens? I thought, well, I'm going to take this star right here, and I'm going to see what it does up here. So I put it there. And oh my gosh, look, it lines up with this one. And it lines up with this one. And then it lines up with the top of the smaller circle. And then it continues and goes off on the smaller circle, exactly the opposite from the point of the star to the base of the star. So you can see that these are upside down compared to these. Okay, so I mean, if I didn't know the size of the bigger circle that we've been talking about, I would have never known that these lines that are going up here would divide the bigger circle into 7. So the bigger circle is 7 and the smaller circle is 5. And again, 12. The Chestahedron has 12 edges. Now, what am I going to do about showing this about Rudolf Steiner? You know, can he help me with this, or what's going on with this? So, in that book that I showed you and other places, I found these drawings, and these drawings are made by Rudolf Steiner. There they are. There are your new stars. Let's see if I can put this up here. Huh? Look at those. They're all his drawings. And what these are this is the throne and the small cupola for the Egyptian initiate. Those are his thrones. Now, how can this be? I mean, this is Rudolf Steiner's work. And nowhere in that book is there any indication of how this was drawn. And the only way I knew it is by taking the 5 and making it into a 7 based on 2 circles, and I didn't use a ruler or anything else, just a straight edge. So, like we go back to the cupolas, okay? So what I did is I took this one that he did, and you notice the one behind it, exactly the same size. There's the 7 and there's the 5. They're the same size. The 5 and the 7 and the 2 pentagons. Same size. Of course, what I have to do is I always put things into 3 dimensions, from 2 to 3 and from 3 to 2. So if you make this into a sculpture, it looks like this. There are 2 cones that are interrelated into each other, and they make up 3-dimensional of the star. Now, this is interesting too, because this actually shows you when the first Goetheanum was around. It shows you that here is that star for the Egyptian initiate at his throne. There's another picture of it. These were actually made. And what's so amazing about this is if you look at the throne next to the Egyptian initiate throne, there's the kite. Here are drawings that shows you the Egyptian initiate throne. And then out of that book, I did find something. And there, this is a drawing, okay, out of that book. And there is the kite. This isn't my drawing. So, as you can see that these drawings here are basically, they're hand drawn. They're not done with geometry, okay? Because you don't need the geometry, you don't need the math, okay? But these are definitely artistic drawings of something that can enter geometry and enter math. And not first. You can't start out with this technology. You have to go to the artistic and work things out. And here, even this one is in the small cupola, and this one shows the Egyptian initiate there. Yeah, there he is. So if you want to look at the small cupola paintings, you'll see the Egyptian initiate sitting in that same form that's coming out in this geometric drawing. All right. So yeah, so there he is. Okay. Okay, now we're going to go to the temple of Hathor. And I said it was 4,500, supposed to be the most beautiful of all the temples. Apparently it's closed now because somebody got killed there because they were walking and a tile from the top hit him. It came down, hit him on the head. All right, so I'm going to remove this big geometric painting here. This is, see, this is real gold. And when this was taken, this was gold dust. Okay, this is gold dust, which is they're saying now that this dust, gold dust is coming from the sun. Okay, so here I'm going to take this big thing down, and then you'll see the next part of my lecture here. All right, let's see what we got up here. All right. What we got up here are a bunch of bells. Now this comes from the Hathor temple. And this comes from one of the rooms, out of several rooms, where women go to give birth. And these bells are coming from a princess, and her name is Princess Nut. And Nut is the princess of the sky at night. And all around her are pentagons, which I'll show you. So anyway, I wanted you to see how beautiful these bells are. Now I'm going to move it back over here again. Let's see if you can see that at all. Yeah, he's small, but he's back there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this down, yeah, and then I'm going to show you where those bells come from. And the temple. This is in the birthing chamber. So what it shows here is, I'll put this back on the wall. That's a beautiful piece. You can see that that Princess Nut swallows the moon and gives birth to the sun over a length of time. And then from the sun come these bells. And these bells go down to Hathor, which is in a cube. There's the Hathor cube. And I know it's a cube because I can see the backs and the sides, but they weren't really good at drawing cubes, but they used them. Okay, so all around here, behind her, and all through here, and all through here, you see these are pentagons. And they represent the sky, the night sky. Okay, so for me, okay, this is basically the heart. So I'll read you something from Rudolf Steiner. Well, before I'll tell you about Rudolf Steiner. Rudolf Steiner said that in the Rosicrucian Wisdom, the book that's out there, he said that human beings incarnate, okay, through bells rotating in the astro, okay, looking for the correct parents in the correct environment to incarnate into, okay? Also in the book To Touch the Light, this is from Art Inspired by Rudolf Steiner. He gives this description. He says that this one man, he goes in to have an operation, and during the operation, he suffers a heart attack on the operating table. This is Rudolf Steiner. He felt a pain in his chest, and then he saw a bright bell-shaped object over him. The bell descended, covering him, and he felt a great inner peace. And it is his belief that he was in the presence of the Lord Jesus Christ. Again, this isn't coming from me. Okay, so I think, well, that's fine, but where's the bell? The bell is here in the Chestahedron. And if you rotate the Chestahedron, it turns into a bell. So I made it. There it is. And if you put this up to the drawing, you see it's the same shape of these bells. So, going to Rudolf Steiner, I was impressed, by how many times he used seven in the seals, he used seven in the capitals. There are 7 capitals. He used them in a number of places that encouraged me about 7, but he used them in the seals also. So here's a drawing of his seal. Okay, this is the Venus seal, and this is the Saturn seal. Okay, when I saw these, I immediately saw them as bells. So I made them. Now here's the Venus bell. And if you look at the top, from the top, you'll see there's the seal. You can see the little hearts. Now this is hard to see. That's okay. It's okay. This is the physical. This part here is the etheric. This is the astral. This is the ego. So this is the Venus bell. This is a Saturn bell. And you can look at it. There's the physical, there's the etheric, there's the astral, and the ego. And you can see there's this part. This is the astral. Astral is reversing. Everything that reverses is astral. And this is reversing. The etheric is everything that's changing, which is water or tone. Okay, and the top is physical. And the bottom is ego. You can see that it varies. So I'll ring these for you. So the first one I'll ring is Saturn. Now do the Venus. See if there's a difference. It's still going. It's still going. I was going to make all the rest. I was going to make all the rest of the bells, but they're very expensive. I've only sold one to a retirement home in New York for anthroposophists. But I wanted to make the others, and my wife always wanted me to. But I just got busy with other things because I had other things that I was looking at. So if I go back and show you the pentagon, see, this is what he says, Rudolf Steiner says about the pentagon. He says that an image of the pentagram is the seal of the etheric body. So here's the pentagon. And if I make it into 3 dimensions, what I do is I make 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So instead of 5, I've turned it down, and so it's only 4. And then if I decide that I want to make it less, then I just make another bunch. I just turn in again, and now I have the Chestahedron. This is the Chestahedron. There it is, with the base. Now the base, which is black in this one, okay, it's a tetrahedron. It's a perfect tetrahedron. I didn't make at all. All I did was fold this together into 3, and the tetrahedron showed up on its own perfectly. It's amazing. So if I set this down on a flat surface, there's the tetrahedron. All coming out of the pentagon. Now I showed you at the beginning that there were 3 pentagons, but you don't need to have 3. Okay. All you need is 1. Okay. Now this is going to help you because this is something that you're not going to hear. Okay. So if I take this and I'll show it to you. This is the drawing I made. And so I made this drawing to show you that this is the contour of something. It's the outside. It's right between the physical and the etheric. So the etheric goes beyond, but you have to be able to understand that threshold between the two. You have to study matter. You have to study what's inside. Okay, so to give you an example, I'm going to now put the inside in. So what does it turn into? It turns into a cube. So the contour drawing, okay, might look like a beehive, you know, one of those sections or whatever, but it's a cube because now it has the inside. Okay. So here we do it. I'll do it again. Can you see that whole thing? Can you see the top 2? Or is it? You can see the top, can't you? Let's see. How about, you can see the whole drawing?
Just a bit higher, please.
It's a little higher.
Slightly higher.
Maybe I should get back, huh?
Yes, now we can see it.
How about now?
We can see it, yes, thank you.
Okay. Good. Now, this is also a contour drawing. Okay, because, you know, what's inside here? So what you have to do, okay, what you have to do is to try to find out what is in the middle of this drawing. So, just like the other one, I'll show you how I do it. So what's in there? Do you recognize that shape? There's a triangle, and there are the two kites. See those?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to take this back to where I started. This was drawn in 1924 by Rudolf Steiner. This
Amazing.
was a letter that was sent to Inga Pigment, and the letter has the descriptions of karma of certain individuals, and this drawing, along with a couple other sketches, but this one here is the one, okay, that is sitting on pentagons, okay, and you notice there's nothing that connects these, and there's nothing here. But when you put it together, that's a perfect drawing now of three-dimensional Chestahedron. So what I'm saying is that you have to remember that the contour is very important, but to understand the contour, you have to go within. And then you can go out. So if I rotate the Chestahedron, I get this shape, which I drew. Now what's happening is that when you take the form, any kind of form you have, and you rotate it, okay, it shows you what's inside. You have no idea what this would be like inside. I mean, here it is. Here it is in the material. That's the bell. That's geometry of the bell. But this is reaching into the inside. Okay. And so if I make this into a form, this is what it looks like. Now I have the outside form of the Chestahedron. Now I have the inside. That is the left ventricle chamber that I'm showing you inside. And that didn't come from me, okay? But the geometry is very, very, very almost identical to what's going on in the heart. And then the Egyptians drew two different kinds of bells, which I didn't understand. This is an Egyptian bell. And here are other examples. And you'll see that some of those bells are skinny. That's because they were able to see the inside of a regular bell. Okay. So you saw the contour, okay? I read you about the, I showed you how Rudolf Steiner's drawing of the Chestahedron. I mean, maybe. You have to make your own mind up. You have to work with these things that you see. And you see that in no way am I trying to take Rudolf Steiner's work and upgrade it to something new, okay? I'm finding something that I can relate to Rudolf Steiner, not just copy what he's done already, but paint the cupola all over again. Okay, so this is from Rudolf Steiner, and this is a book called Towards the Phenomenology of the Etheric World. Okay, now this is what he said. Matter depends upon a reversal, a kind of revised memory formation. Memory. In ordinary memory formation, the perception must, of course, first be perceived before it can be recalled to the mind. So memory thus creates in man a kind of after image of that perceived image which belongs to the world. All right. In the case of our present discussion of the emergence of organs of perception for the supersensible world, however, we have to do the opposite. Memory, okay. However, okay, the supersensible world, perception of the supersensible world. However, we have to do the opposite, the cultivation of image. An image which must be created in man prior to the perception of the after image, the world. So it has to be something that you can perceive before you see it. Before there, it's called a fore-image, according to Rudolf Steiner. It calls it a fore-image. Okay, not an after image, but something before memory. All right. I designed a new architectural building. Took me 3 months, and I did it because I was invited to the Goetheanum to give a lecture on architecture, okay, because it was a celebration of the old Goetheanum, and I'm not sure exactly what the celebration, but it's on YouTube or somewhere. I think it's on YouTube, but only the very beginning. And the reason is there's not much on YouTube is because a lot of my lectures are never filmed. And a lot of people don't like YouTube. So I gave 3 lectures just lately that the guy refused to put it on YouTube. I had this lots of times. What happened to me? And there's no cameras, you know? There's more now because we got the cell phone. Anyway, so I worked 3 months. I got invited to give a lecture there at the Goetheanum. And I went and I had to raise my own money, but that wasn't hard because somebody paid my flight. And then when I got there, I knew a friend, so I could stay with them. And I brought all my stuff. I mean, models like you're seeing. So I went there and to give the lecture. Okay. So I'll show you the drawing. I'll show you the building. This is the building that I designed, okay, for this lecture at the Goetheanum. And this was supposed to be an architecture based on the 7-sided form for America. Okay, here it is. And that's this Chestahedron with 2 cupolas, but these cupolas stand straight up because the Chestahedron does. And on the top, there's a big ring, which is Goethe's color wheel. It has an opening between the 2 cupolas that are clear light coming in. There's no structure that interfering with it. You can actually walk around the rim. And then it has an addition there for an art gallery, and all the underneath space are for research centers of all different kinds that can be done in the same building. Here's another picture of it. Something in the way there. What is that? Oh, can you see that okay? There it is. You can see that
Yes.
the sun, shines the colors onto the floor. And also it has the dual around the outside of the Chestahedron. Okay, that's made of wires. And these wires can be played like a musical instrument. It would be the largest musical instrument in the world because they could be played with bows. Okay, and you can see there's bells on the outside. There's 7 bells. Okay, so I made these models. And I had the lecture, and I found out so all of the chiefs there, all the big authorities, there's a lot of them in the Goetheanum. I forget what they call them, Gershon or something, but all these guys and women are the leaders of the Goetheanum or whatever goes on there, okay? And when I gave the lecture, not one of them showed up. Not one of them came to the lecture. None of them saw these models that I had. These are models, and I have them. I have them in my case. They didn't even show up. Then I found out they didn't even announce that the lecture was going to be given. So I went home not seeing any of them. Took all my models. I'm not complaining. I'm just telling you that you have to do the work, whether you're encouraged or not. You still have to do the work. Okay, so now I'm going to come to the Earth. And the Earth is probably where I should finish. But it's an interesting thing that shows you how Rudolf Steiner helps people or can help if you want to receive it. Okay, so what he did was he made a chalkboard drawing, and this is the chalkboard drawing he did. All right, and in this chalkboard drawing, which is really neat, he gave a lecture, and that lecture was printed up. Now, one thing to notice about this is that you see that there is 2 drawings of a tetrahedron over here. And you notice they're identical, and they're kind of one on top of the other. Okay, and that was interesting to me. And then he had a bowed out tetrahedron up at the top. It's bowed out. And then over at the very end, he's got these 5 sticks. They're sticking out of a whatever, maybe a seed or something. But he's drawn 5 sticks. Now, what's amazing about that to me is that I started with 7 sticks. Now, in the lecture, he says that in the Earth, this is called forming of the Earth and the Moon causes a volcanism. Okay, and in the lecture, he repeats that inside the Earth there is a tetrahedron, another. I'm going to repeat how many times he says this. Okay, tetrahedron, little pyramid, tetrahedron, like a pyramid, rounded out tetrahedron, Earth tetrahedron, triangles that were straight lines before are rounded. And then he says over here, he says, geometry really is the world. that everything acts out of geometry. Yes, I agree. Okay. So he says that it's a bowed out tetrahedron, or it's a tetrahedron in the world. All right, so what I did was there are 4 points that touch the Earth. And the 3 points are on the globe. Caucasus Mountains in Russia and Japan and Mid-America. So here's a sphere, a globe, where the tetrahedron touches those 3 points. It's about 42 degrees latitude. Okay, so
We can't see. We can't see what you're showing us.
oh, okay. So there's a tetrahedron, and it sits at about 42 degrees latitude. It fits in a sphere or the globe like that. So he's saying that this down here is the South Pole. Okay. Well, you can see that's not going to work. I mean, it just rattles around in there. So, based on that, I thought I would try the Chestahedron. So I made a Chestahedron the same size. Now, the base is the same size as the crown. See there? But you can see that the Chestahedron is a lot higher. So I put the Chestahedron right where he said the 4 points were. And at the top, there's 3 points at the top, and then the Chestahedron touches the South Pole perfectly. Now, what I'm saying is this. I'm saying that this Rudolf Steiner's not wrong about this tetrahedron. And he didn't have the Chestahedron, but that doesn't matter because this idea and reading that lecture that he said, and that there's a tetrahedron, really opened my mind. And I would have never put the Chestahedron in there, that I realized that what's going on here at this circle. Okay, so I put the Chestahedron in a globe, right where it's supposed to be, and it touches the South Pole and those other 3 points. And then I made a discovery that I never thought I would ever do. I mean, I never thought I would do this, but I found out that the Chestahedron, okay, is really centered around a cone that goes from this point to the circle. Okay, now, if I separate this cone here, both those circles are the same, right? It can't be anything else because they come together. I didn't know this, but I took this cone and I put it around the outside of the Chestahedron, and all of the 6 points of the Chestahedron touch. Now, I didn't know that. I didn't know that there was a cone around the Chestahedron. You see how this encouraged me from Rudolf Steiner's lecture? I would have never done this. And of course, you know that the other end of the cone, okay, has been separated and that they're the same size. And I can take this cone and go right inside the center of the Chestahedron and comes out to the very point. That is amazing to me that both of these cones, you have an inner cone and an outer cone, and the same cone. They're the same angle. So I was able to take this and take my globe trying to figure out which way I did this. May not be able to show you this. Oh, yes, I can. It takes me a little time to get this adjusted because it's not easy to do this. And then I'll show you what I've done. It just takes me a little while to get it. Okay, there I have it in the sphere. And you can see that the point of the Chestahedron touches the South Pole. And at the top, okay, there's this cone. Now, if you look at the top of this, you'll see that there are two cones. There's this one, and the bottom has the same size cone. You know that because I showed you that. So the bottom has the same size cone or circle as the top, same. But then there's the bigger circle at the top, okay, but not at the bottom. If you want to see more and more of what's going on, this is new view again that covers this about the Aurora Borealis, because I figured there's got to be something here about the Aurora Borealis that the scientists don't know, and they don't. They cannot explain. So what is happening here is that there is always at the top of the North Pole, seen from space, okay, there's always a ring that goes around that makes up the Northern Lights. Okay, and that ring, okay, that ring that goes around is between the little cone and the big cone. But at the bottom, in other words, the Aurora Borealis takes place between those two cones. On the bottom, there is no Aurora Borealis that appears on the outside of that ring. The Aurora Borealis only takes up that ring. Okay, that's where the Aurora Borealis, the South Aurora Borealis, okay, is always seen inside that red line, that red cone, but not up here. That red cone up there on the top is always black. But the Aurora Borealis, okay, is always on the outside of the black, but never goes beyond the red usually at all. But at the bottom, the Aurora Borealis, the South Aurora Borealis, is always inside this ring, but never outside. So this one's always bright with the Aurora Borealis, and that same size up here is always dark. And up here is where this is almost shaped like a donut, but it gets a little skinnier, okay, and then it gets a little wider on the side. And so it looks something like this. So the Aurora Borealis stays in between those two rings. Now, I know my wife is laughing, but I have to show these things sometimes. So the Aurora Borealis comes in between these two, which is between the two that I showed you. And at the bottom, okay, it only stays in that ring. It won't come out. It won't go out of this cone, which is this cone, which is all dark. This one's all bright, and the brightness is all the way around. You look up anything on the internet and under the Aurora Borealis, seen from space, okay, and you'll see exactly what I'm describing. So what happens is the force comes in to the earth from the top. Okay, it goes down to the bottom, it travels across, and then goes back up into this ring. And the Aurora Borealis that you see, according to my research, is not coming from above. The Aurora Borealis is leaving the earth, not entering. You can't see it when it enters. You only can see when it leaves. Nobody's saying this, and nobody can explain why this phenomenon is going on. Nobody. There isn't anybody. Now, again, I've been out this thing for over 10 years that I found this. There's nothing like it. No explanation of these two things. Well, so I'm going to stop so that
Frank,
maybe you can ask me questions or something.
Frank, could you show us the 3 points where you mentioned from Rudolf Steiner's lecture that they touch the Earth's surfaces in Japan, Russia, and America, please? If you could, no. I mean, could you show on the globe which you demonstrated, the Earth globe, transparent?
The points that touch?
Yes, just if you turn each corner to us, towards us.
Yeah, here it is here.
No. I mean the globe, the Earth globe.
Yeah, just wait 1 minute. Let me
Okay.
do this first.
Globe with the Chestahedron inside of it.
Yes.
Okay, do you see the 3 points here?
Yeah, but we
Yes.
see the globe with the Chestahedron inside it that you showed us before.
You didn't line up.
I didn't what?
Line up.
Line up. I mean, this one here.
Yes.
Which one you want to know?
You did.
Yes, if you could close to the camera, if you could turn each corner of the each angle which touches the Earth, so that we can see where exactly in Japan, in Russia, and in America it comes to the surface.
Okay.
You have to line up. Open it and line up.
Well, I know.
No, I mean just you keep it intact, but just with
Here's
the
America. Here's Japan.
yes, but just each corner turn to the camera just 3 times. Japan, America, and Russia.
But it's not line up.
Well, I have to take this apart because it's gotten loose.
Ah, okay.
But I can take it apart, no problem.
Ah, okay.
Wait, I might be able to get it here. Oh, yeah, I did it. I think I did it. I did it.
Good.
Okay. Where my thumb is Japan. This is Mid-America,
Yes. Which city is there?
Kansas,
Right. And in Russia,
the Caucasus Mountains. Right here.
Caucasus Mountains.
Yes. Now, these were Rudolf Steiner's, and they're in this book. Not from-
Yes, but I mean, if you could turn this map on the globe towards the screen, and we shall see it. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Frank.
I'm sorry, this isn't showing it well enough, but
Yes.
if you just go home and you make a triangle between Japan and the Caucasus Mountains and Mid-America, you'll see, okay, that this is exactly what he says, but it also touches the South Pole.
Yes.
Okay,
What
so
what
first-
parallel are those upper 3 corners? The parallel on the Earth you mentioned. Have you mentioned that?
you mean the latitude?
Yes.
Well, that gives about 42. 42.
42. Mhm. Thank you.
And I saw something in Scientific America that showed where the hot areas were in the planet. They flattened it out like a map. And two of the lines are just perfect. The one that goes through Kansas is basically where all the tornadoes go. Okay. The one that goes to Japan, Japan is in Mount Dread. And Mount Dread is supposed to be a very mysterious place because there are forces going up. Okay, out of that volcano that's extinct and full of water. Okay, so I've never been to any of these places. So I don't know, but I know Steiner talked about places in Europe where he could throw dirt up in the air and it would go up like smoke. So he says there are forces that are leaving the earth. Okay, so let's see. Now here's the Chestahedron, and you can see I found out how the currents run around the form. Okay, and I have them in red lines with arrows. So I've studied all of this, how it's possible to go from the South Pole, okay, to Japan. And how can you go from the South Pole to Caucasus? And how do you go to the South Pole to Mid-America? Okay, so through that process, I found out the currents that are running. And of course, this, if you take up this side and go on this side, it goes right through Kansas, and it's where all the tornadoes are basically in that part of America. And I also did it here again. I found out the currents. Okay, and then I found out the zodiac. I figured out the zodiac of the Chestahedron, and I figured out each current of each form, which way it turns. So this particular turns this way, and this one turns in the opposite, this one turns. So I figured out how the currents run based on the oceans. So I done a lot of study with this that I just didn't bring up. I mean, I didn't think I'd have time or that you would be interested in this. But if you want me to go and take me about 2 or 3 minutes, maybe at the most, I can show you the map that I found that shows how this is going, how the Chestahedron relates to the latest technology based on the Los Angeles.
Caltech Pasadena.
I forget what that.
Caltech Pasadena.
What is it?
Caltech Pasadena.
Yeah, Caltech Pasadena came right out of the seismic studies. Listen, another thing I didn't tell you, that this is the cone that's inside the Chestahedron. If I drop a ball into this cone, okay, that's exactly the size in the middle between the South Pole and the North Pole. And that little ball right there is, I've measured it, it's the size of the core of the Earth. So the Aurora Borealis energy is coming into the top, okay, and has an effect on that core. Yeah, you give me a few minutes?
Yes. Yes. Meanwhile, I will just share my thoughts about your findings, and we will wait for you.
Oh, I want to hear these thoughts.
Okay. So I would like to say that from our first presentation with you, you mentioned this 3 petals of the ribbon of the cardio muscles ribbon, which makes three petals. And I just would like to point that if we take one ribbon, you can make this experiment to draw a line in the middle so that everybody knows that this middle line goes from the outside to the inside of the lemniscate.
You would like to see that?
Yes. When just if you remember the lemniscate, the figure 8. Okay, I'll just explain to everyone that you could try it for yourself, just to make a ring. And for example, if you cut the long long ribbon and put yes so that if you cut along in the middle one lemniscate, you just have a big loop which has a double twist because it's a simple experiment. You can first make a lemniscate from a piece of paper and then cut it in the middle, and it will expand into a loop which has a double twist. And from that double twist, you can construct these 3 loops. So that it means that the ordinary lemniscate, it has a potential in it. When you divide it in the middle, it just expands and it becomes twice as big as the original lemniscate. So these 3 loops, what you've shown us, your findings, they can be derived from a simple lemniscate form. And also what you mentioned, Goethean artistic way of imagination. Goethe mentioned that science deals with ideas and art deals with images. And it is like perception, and you arrive, you combine the perception with the image, and you arrive at the concept, at the conception. You create, you come to the reality. So this is the work of our mind, to combine the perception with the image which arise from this perception, and you arrive at the conception, at the concept as a final stage of our penetrating contemplation. And this is what you demonstrated to us, all your findings, because this is a kind of initiation you shared with us about the first Goetheanum forms, about the concealed images of 7-sided form, Chestahedron form, in those drawings, and yes, it is the whole cosmos you reveal, and also the Earth secrets about these currents of the Earth you mentioned, you discovered. It is similar what Goethe did with his findings about 4 cloud formations, which now serves for the people studying weather forecast, and they share with us. But Goethe was the first who discovered those 4 archetypal forms. And you now showed us the archetypal form of this hidden phenomena in life. And it is great. And your discoveries, they need to be recorded, because you decoded, you made this deciphers of the secret of this form. Deficits. You decoded what was encoded in the Chestahedron shape. Yes, and you also made connection with the bell, with the sound, and we can say that these spiritual scientific investigations, these discoveries, they counterpart to what ordinary science does with the warmth, because it chills the warmth organism in us. It paralyzes light in the light organism of the humans. And it deadens the tone ether in our fluid organism. And it deprives of life our physical body, the phantom. So, and your discoveries, they counterpart all these things because they fire up our enthusiasm, and they warm up our warmth body of our eye organization.
Well, Yuri, I wanted to show you the bell, the Chestahedron, and the etheric. This is the closest I've come to it. That's the Chestahedron and the etheric. Okay, so that you
Yes.
brought up. I mean, now let me tell you about the lemniscape.
Yes, please.
All right, a lemniscape is a rubber band. All you have to do to make a lemniscape is just twist it. Now it's a lemniscape.
Yes.
It's just a circle. And
Yes.
It takes one twist and now it's a lemniscape.
Yes.
Now, if I cut the lemniscape in half,
Not like that. You cut it. You keep it intact and cut it in the middle along the line, along the ribbon.
I mean around here.
Yes, because if you cut it now, you have 2 rings. But if you twist it once and connect the edges, like you had the original one,
That's called a
and cut along the line in the middle, you have this enlarged twice as you had the original one. It will be enlarged twice.
I see. Yes,
Yeah,
I've seen that before. Yes.
Yes, and it makes a double loop, a double twist. When you cut it, you have, instead of one twist, you have 2 more.
And the third?
And then when you make 3 petals from this, what you have now, you can easily make 3 petals. 3 petals. I did this experiment a long time ago, and only when I discovered your findings, I recognized that this law of lemniscate, it has in it like a seal of these three loops of the cardiac myofibril ribbons. Because if you cut it further, it's an excellent exercise for any Waldorf school. Just ask them at the very beginning to write down what happens if you cut the original form of the lemniscate along the ribbon in the middle, alongside, and then when you cut it the second time in the middle, and the third time, and ask pupils or adults or whoever would like to have this experiment to write down what happens, what they would predict from this, and they never got the right answer, never, because it shows that logics, as Goethe said, logics betray us, especially in this complicated just live objects, because lemniscate demonstrates already life in it. Because when you expand this ribbon, which is once twisted, it just already an enigma concealed in it. So that, but I will tell you, so that if you cut it further, you have what you have in the embryon. You have this kind of multiplication of cells, so that they become those rings. They each time you cut them in the middle, they just cross each other and they join each other. They don't separate. They come like a beautiful flower. They like a globe made of all these ribbons. So it's a beautiful experiment. Everybody can do it easily, and especially in the Waldorf schools. And it will reveal this secret of embryology, and especially your findings about the heart. Your findings and your models which demonstrate how our heart works, it again will bring to reality the whole humankind, because as we said in the last presentation video, that when people study wrong things, they have wrong images about our reality, and they contribute to the phantom making, this demonic phantom making process. And these Ahrimanic phantoms, they attack those who think wrong and who say wrong, and work out of these wrong ideas in the fields of practice, especially doctors. Because if you learn the statistics of the problems among the doctors who try to work in the medical field, you find a great deal of problems in their soul states because they studied the wrong medical science. They need to correct the medical scientific knowledge, because what we had so far until now, it allowed those who have access to the power in the world, which try to impose its laws so that it can deprive us of freedom of travel, freedom of rights, you know. We have to establish this threefold society, which is the just society in the world of brotherhood. And then we have this proper science based on the spiritual scientific corpus of knowledge. Then we create free human beings, which will be the free man creators in the world, and they can lead the humankind to the future which is destined for the humankind. Because nowadays, talking from the anthroposophical point of view, we see that this Ahrimanic science, it gives us obstacles in understanding the real human being. And we can overcome these obstacles with your help, with what you shared with us today and in the last presentation. And also we are looking forward to your next third presentation. And may I say why those leaders of the Goetheanum, they couldn't perceive your findings. They couldn't make the right assessment of your discoveries. They couldn't understand and perceive your discoveries because it is a problem of what Rudolf Steiner said to Dr. Pfeiffer. It is a problem of the materialistic conception of the world. And also it is the wrong dietary habits, wrong eating habits, because it stops human spirit to use its brain in a proper way, because the excess of toxins, it blocks the spirit's organ of perception, the brain, because the high level of acidity and these toxins, they just bring this darkness instead of giving the light in the thinking. And modern world, because of the Ahrimanic science and all this computer gadgets, they just darken the light which we need to stimulate in our thinking process, because it is a very subtle light, and we need to study what you shared with us and come to Rudolf Steiner's legacy and study bit by bit to acquire this great knowledge of understanding of the human being and how the human being is the integrated part of the whole cosmos, of the whole universe. And this seven enigma of the seven, this seven aspect, it also brings us to the conception of the sevenfold Christ, which is the etheric planetary seven planets concept, because Rudolf Steiner mentioned that if we consider this Christ's fourfoldness, he has his physical part in the sun, his etheric part in the seven planets of our planetary system, its 12-fold part in the astral aspects of our zodiacal sphere, and his eye is beyond the zodiac, because it is the macrocosmic aspect of the Trinity, and the Holy Trinity, it comes from the spheres beyond the zodiacal system. And also the seven aspects we see in Rudolf Steiner's seven moods of perception, where he relates this to the 12 conceptions of the earth, seven earth conceptions, where the seven moods are there. And also Rudolf Steiner mentioned, and his pupil Stein, his surname is Stein, and his name starts with W. W.J. Stein. He mentioned that the 10 Aristotelian
Yeah, dear Yuri, just mentioned, so we're working already 2 hours. Can you hear me? So, and probably we have to give a possibility to ask questions from our participants. Dear friends, can you hear me?
I hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Dear friends, so any questions to Frank? If you'd like to ask questions, please raise your electronic hand. There is reactions in the bottom of your screen. Please click on it. And there is a big button, raise a hand. Yes, it's okay. Donna Reed and Raim DeRees. Yeah, dear friend, please. Raim, probably, yes.
Raim,
Yes.
it'll
Yeah,
be.
okay. Mm-hmm.
I put it in the chat. When Yuri speaks of cutting the lemniscate, I get 2 circles. If he's talking about cutting a Mobius strip, then I get something more rich and complicated. And I'm wondering if he means a Mobius strip rather than a lemniscate.
Yeah, yes, it is the Möbius strip. Thank you for bringing this question.
Absolutely critical. Fascinating. Yeah, thank you.
That's right. You're welcome.
Okay, dear friends, more questions to Frank or Yuri?
Yeah, I have worked with the Mobius strip. But to put 3 Mobius strips together, it can't be continuous. You have to cut it and then re-glue it in such a way that the Mobius strip is going up and going down at the same time. So, but the Mobius strip is definitely a way of looking at it, that's for sure. That's what I was going to show you, you know, the rubber band. If you cut the rubber band in half, you just twist it once and you put it back together. Then you have a Mobius strip.
Thank
Well,
you very much.
what you have to think about, how do you put 3 Mobius strips together? I like that you laugh.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. And I must go, but I do appreciate very much listening to you and the inspiration, seeing the inspirations that you've had, including the pictures. Thank you very much, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much. So, and Kathy is next. Kathy? Kathy, can you hear us? Looks like Kathy raised her hand, but you know, she's not willing to speak. Okay, dear friends, anybody else?
Hello.
Hi, yes.
Hi. Just wondering, there was a lot of talk about this rubber band, presentation. Can one of the speakers actually do this and show it to us? Some of us are not very familiar with this twisting and enlarging the shape and, flower petals and all this. So I'm kind of lost. If there is time, the speaker had a rubber band. If you can just show us what they mean by this. Is it possible?
Yeah, looks like Yuri is trying to do so. It's not quite rubber band.
Whatever it is.
Okay, whatever it is. So Yuri, are you able to do
So, I made this half an hour before our meeting here. You see that this paper, originally it was the Möbius ring, and I made this line in the middle and just cut it, and it got twice as big as the original one, and it has additional twist, so you can make on your own, and it is a fun. You just you will enjoy it. Make this first Möbius ribbon, and then cut it along in the middle, and it will enlarge first, and then you cut it further, and you see the beautiful further figures coming from your work.
Okay.
Well, next time, probably, Yuri, can you prepare it ahead of time, just in more compact form for demonstration?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was a
because
lot
looks
of
like it's a little bit improvisation, and
it was a
okay. I mean, here is Frank with his model, and this is muscle of the heart, I believe, which is in the form of ribbon.
Yes, Frank shows one ribbon which makes 3 loops.
Yeah.
Yes,
Frank,
and they
Frank, can you say something, because you're not
Sure.
visible when
This
you're silent? Yeah, go ahead.
this is what you, when you take the paper or whatever you use, a ribbon, okay, what you have to do is make sure that it has at the base, with the top of the ribbons, okay, that there are 3 of them, and also you have to make sure that whatever you use, the bottom becomes an apex, which is a shutter, and it has to be like this. One has to go over and under the other, and all 3 of them have to make up a shutter that will close like a camera. Okay, and yet has 3 loops. Okay, so remember the center, the apex got to be closed. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
So anyway, just this paper project and your question about Mobius strip and everything. See, that right there is telling you, over here, that's telling you, okay, what you're supposed to be doing. You're not supposed to look for the answer from me. You're supposed to find it inside you by doing what Yuriy did, by taking the paper and see if it works. Does his process work? Or is it something else that can close up like that? You have to remember that the heart, okay, the heart has continuous movement on the outside and at the same time on the inside. So you can see how some of these are going this way. Okay, and they go up and then what? And then they come down this way. And they have to close at the bottom into a shutter, right? There. Isn't that interesting? That's what the heart's doing. And what happens is as the layers, all right, they get to be more and more less of an angle. What happens is that the apex that's closed starts to open. And as the layers become smaller, they get larger at the bottom and smaller at the top. Okay, and that's exactly what's happened in the heart. Can you see that? Can you see how these are going in an absolutely opposite directions as these? And you see how they come together? Look how many there are. Okay, and there's that many all the way through the layers. So if you can get one to work with whatever you find, then you have to try to make sure that that is continuously going on. Because as you see that the top, okay, that these guys are going across and they're folding inside each other. They go inside each other. And then the next one goes inside that one. Next one goes inside that one. So it's a continuous ribbon.
Here is one more question from Philippa.
Sure.
Yeah, Philippa, please. Yeah, unmute your machine, please.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello, hi. I might have missed it, but who painted the painting of Princess Newt?
What about her?
Who painted the painting of Princess
Oh, the
Newt?
Egyptians.
The
Almost 5,000 years ago.
painting you have on the wall.
What's that?
Yeah, I mean, Frank is answering it's done by Egyptians, ancient Egyptians.
Yeah, this is ancient. I have
5,000 years ago.
Oh yeah, at least. And remember, that's where women go to give birth, and it's called a birthing chamber, where Princess Newt is. And
You have a copy of it though.
well, I mean, if
Where
you
did
send
you
me an email, I'll send you a picture of it.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much.
No, wait, don't go. I have something else I wanted to show you. I just can't find it, but it's here. You know, it's right here. I just give me a minute. Wait a minute. Wait 1 minute. Okay, I found it. Now this is a drawing of Princess. Excuse me. Now there she is in a drawing. You can see her. There it is. Okay, here's swallows the moon.
Mm.
She swallows the moon. There's his head. And she there's her head. So she swallows the moon, gives birth to the sun, and then all these bells come down, okay, into Hathor. And Hathor is right there, and Hathor is the cube. And remember that the bells, okay, which are the Chestahedron, fit into a cube. There's the Chestahedron in the cube. So the bell shape, okay, that she is drawing are entering the cube, which is, you can see the edges of the cube on the top. See the top? That makes the top of the cube. So, so what it's saying is that we enter our new incarnation through the heart. And the heart enters, okay, into the world, which is based on the cube. And the cube, okay, is the symbol for the earth, because it's the only form that has right angles. And it's the only form that has the square. The rest don't. The rest of the Platonic forms don't have that. So remember, on Earth, everything grows, all our plants and trees, everything all grow at 90 degrees. And most of our homes are all walled up in 90 degrees. And what that 90 degrees means is that it's a barrier. And when we come to the earth, we have to deal with barriers. And those barriers are what makes us grow, because we can handle life. If we can handle life, okay, we can learn to do that here with these barriers. And these barriers are balanced by the heart. That's why it's in the cube. So it moves in 6 directions at the same time, and it's constantly trying to balance the 6 different forces that come from the cube. Now, in the lecture, the 1909 lecture, do you have that book, Yuko? The 1909 lecture that shows the cube that Rudolf Steiner showed the forces coming out of. Anyway, so this might help you. And also, you go on YouTube and put in Princess Newt, you're going to get all kinds of reactions that are more sentimentality about her than it is the actual use of telling us through this Egyptian clairvoyant time of what this represents. Does it help?
Yes, thank you. But the picture you have on the wall,
Yes.
who painted that?
No, that's okay. This one, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. That's not a painting by anybody.
Ah, okay.
That's carved into the Egyptian Hathor temple.
Right.
And remember that the Egyptians did everything 2-dimensionally. So they just did contour drawings, okay? And then they would fill in between the contour drawings very lightly the rest of whatever was inside. But they always carved deep around the contour, okay? And that's what this is. This is carved around the contour also. But this isn't a painting.
Okay.
This is right out of the temple.
I can see now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. So, dear friends, probably it's last call, maybe one more last question, and looks like we have to round our session. Okay, go ahead. Yes. Bartholomew. Go ahead, Bartholomew.
Can I can I ask? The Chestahedron, it has to do with the heart, it has to do with the earth. There are electromagnetic fields around the heart and around the earth. Would the Chestahedron have any influence or any healing quality to the electromagnetic fields?
I can talk about the healing qualities of Chestahedron as far as electrical and magnets and, you know, X-rays and all these kind of things that I don't know anything about as enough to speak about it. But I can tell you that if I put a plant in the Chestahedron, okay, just like people put plants in pyramids, it affects the growth, and it affects the growth so much that I have documented. I have this shows the difference in the growth between a regular plant and then the plant in the Chestahedron. And also I've had meditation chambers for people, and that they sit in them, and you can feel the results. You can feel the effects of the Chestahedron immediately. I also sent the Chestahedron. This is really great. Matter of fact, I can show you right now. I'm pretty sure. I sent the Chestahedron to a guy named Ota. Ota? What's his name? Ota? Mr. Ota. He's a Japanese man that freezes water and then looks at under the microscope to see how many of the crystallizations of the water grow. Okay, so the more crystals and the more organized they are, the better the water. Okay, and this affects the plants. So the amount of organization and structures that the crystals took with the water in the Chestahedron, okay, nothing was spun. It was just sat in there for 24 hours. And the same water was put into another room and sat for 24 hours, and then the picture's taken. You cannot believe the difference in the growth of the structures of the crystals. So wait 1 minute. Now, here are the crystals. Okay, this was the result of crystals in the Chestahedron. And here's the result of it in the other room. And you can see, even though it's not very visible for you guys, you can see the difference in the crystal growth. And he couldn't believe it because nothing was done to the water other than sitting in the Chestahedron. So what I did is I sent him a Chestahedron, okay, that opened up a door and put a vial of water, and the other one was just plain water. And that's the difference. So I do have some type of documentation other than just the growth, but also all the structure that the water takes after being in the Chestahedron.
Thank you. I made a Chestahedron of copper mesh and then put beeswax around it. It's called orconite. If you put organic material with anorganic material, and it somehow would neutralize electromagnetic fields. And I put that then next to my bed.
I don't doubt it at all. I don't doubt that at all. Matter of fact, people are putting them by their computers. I mean, just the very few people that I know that even will look at this research. But I don't have anything for sale. I'm not a businessman. I don't make any money off any of this stuff. All I do is do the work. Okay. You know what I mean? So, I mean, these things aren't for sale. I mean, I made bells out of Chestahedron, not casting bells, but bells. I made a mixer. I made a mixer that they flew me to the Philippines because of the results was so strong they couldn't believe it. And so I went there with my device, and I put it in an Olympic-sized swimming pool, and I turned it at 500 RPM, and it was about the size of a little bigger than a tennis ball, more like a softball. And the manager of the pool came out and said, "Look, you don't ever put any soap in this pool again." And the Chestahedron just has so many bubbles. He felt the guy on the other end of the pool was saying, "I feel bubbles in my pants." And I can show you that. You want to see the mixer, what it looks like? That's all right.
Yeah. So, all right. I think, dear friends, we working 2 hours and 25 minutes, and maybe it's a good time to say thank you so much for Frank, and we expecting your new presentation soon. And thank you so much for Dr. Yuriy from Russia, so for his initiative. And yeah, dear friends, we had some technical difficulties. So, but anyway, this session will be recorded, is recorded already. So, and it will be posted on our website and our YouTube channel too. So thank you so much. Please feel free, unmute your machine. Let's say thank you lively to Frank and to Yuriy. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much, and say my good cheers and greetings to the Chicago branch, for putting this on, and for Yuriy, actually, Dr. Yuriy, to actually recognize that maybe some people should see this more than they do.
They will see. They'll see. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, dear friends. Thank you so much, and
Thank you.
I'll see you soon around. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Wonderful.
Bye. Yes, I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you.